So, day 47, shoulder day. So, yesterday we were feeling a little weak, but we added some volume to get through it. Today, we're going to find out if we're having a weak day, strong day. We'll find out. I will say last week, our last shoulder day, we moved up to 25 pounds for our front raise, side raise. And that delt insertion was a little irritated for a couple days after that. Today feels good though. So I don't know if it's just the muscle was super sore or if it's that insertion itself just being angry. So we're going to try to work up the 25s again today and see how it goes. But since we got to warm up for each one of these movements here while the shoulders are cold, we start at 10 pounds, 15 pounds, and then into that heavy load. So, those first 10, with the hands down, this insertion feels a little irritated. So, went ahead, rotated a more neutral grip there. Didn't feel as angry. Maybe we'll go ahead and try palms up on this next one as if we're doing it with an easy curl bar. That was the way I used to do my front raises the most, and truthfully, I got the most front delt activation out of it. So we'll go ahead and give it a shot, see what it feels like now. Ooh, definitely not. Ugh. So, worked up, got to the 25s. Front delts have quite a bit of blood pushed into them now. And man, oh man, I tell you what, 25s are definitely heavy, at least for my front delts. I'm trying to think, even at my strongest for like a front raise type of movement, side raise type movement, I think the heaviest ever was like 35s. I think maybe 40s. For some real dirty, like swinging sets of like 6 or 8. But I think for the most part, it's always been like working sets at 25 pounds. But now, rinse and repeat, side delts. Some of this stuff is never going to be, the most entertaining. But these are the things we got to do to develop a full physique. You can't skip muscle parts, or should I say body parts. You can't skip, putting in the work into each part of each muscle because you'll build imbalances. And eventually, if you skip enough things and work a bunch of other things, your body's going to hurt all the time because you're being pulled in one direction or another, and it's not natural for your body to have, say, a lot of front delt and no rear and side delt. It's not natural to have a bunch of chest but then have no back muscles. It's not natural to, have no quads and hamstrings with a big upper body or a big back because you do a bunch of back day deadlifts, but you do no squats, no calf raises. Like, eventually your knees will hurt, your hips will hurt, whatever. So, and the goal is to not just, look good for a short period of time. The goal is to overall build yourself up over years and just look better and better and better and be stronger and stronger and stronger and be able to maintain that for a lifetime. Sure, it's cool, in your teenage years, in your 20s, to, try to push to that 315 bench, that 405 bench, or, that 600-pound deadlift, the 500-pound squat. But a lot of those people who end up pushing for that hit it real early in their lifetime of lifting. They didn't train to be able to sustain that, and most of them end up injured. And they can't continue to lift, and then it creates issues later on. Oh. But I started into this a little bit later. I was kind of already in my early to mid-20s getting into lifting for the very first time. But I did the same thing. I ended up pushing for some really heavy stuff. And unfortunately had a bad workout with a bad gym partner, which ended up leading to a broken arm. 2 weeks before I was supposed to compete in men's physique as a natural lifter. So that kind of kiboshed things, and I didn't do it again for, I think I took 6 or 7 years off from lifting after that. But we've been back at it now for basically a year and a half-ish, kind of going on to 2 years. 2 years if we count like work out for a week or two, don't do anything for a week, work out for 2 or 3 weeks, don't do anything for a month. Oh. Front delts, side delts, warmed up. First couple working sets knocked out for isolation work. Now we're going to go ahead and get into rear cable flies. Get that isolation into the rear delts now. Get those pumped up, warmed up, ready to go. So, first set, just 10 pounds on the cable stacks. So, with longevity, injuries will probably happen. Sometimes you just might go to the gym one day a little dehydrated and maybe partially tear something, muscle sprains, whatever. It's going to vary from like, ow, that kind of hurts. And that's a little sore, for the next 2 weeks. To, well, dang, I have to go have surgery done. So, unfortunately things just kind of happen. Like you could always step outside your house, slip on ice, break a hip. Like you never know. So the key is, to make sure you're not necessarily beating your body down beyond what you're able to do. And everyone's going to have a different point for that. Some of it can be, you're working out with a friend. They like doing a specific workout a specific way. Like say, pullovers with the dumbbell. Some people like doing them. Other people, it's painful to do them. It just never feels good. So if it doesn't feel good to you, even if someone's saying to do them, skip that movement. Substitute it with something else. Because your own body's going to tell you what you're able to do. So, a lot of people have shoulder issues. I've unfortunately have a shoulder issue, not specifically with the shoulder joint, but with this delt insertion where it ties into the arm mat. It just gets irritated, a little swollen, inflamed, and it just hurts. It's something this year when I go in for my next physical that I'm going to bring up, see if maybe I can get an MRI done, see what's going on with this thing, if it's partially torn or something, or if it's just being inflamed because there's some sort of inflammation being caused from overuse maybe, like a tennis elbow type of situation. And if so, maybe I can get something prescribed for it. Maybe it just needs a cortisone shot. Maybe I need to do like BPC 157 and TB 500, which are peptides for healing, which help and show, massive improvements inside of like ligament and tendon issues, along with just overall muscle repair. So sometimes, there is going to be that need for a medical intervention type of thing. You're just not going to be able to train through something. And you got to be willing to accept the fact, your training style may have to change. If you enjoy lifting super heavy, you might have to go a little lighter, do a little more volume. Or if you're one of those people who just do insanely high volume, your joints always hurt, you might need to back off the volume and just start lifting a little heavier. Or it could be as simple as, instead of training chest 3 days a week, you might need to only train it once or twice. Because overtraining and beating the muscles down and the joints down before they're repaired, you're going to run into the situation of things are just going to hurt all the time and you're just not able to recover because you're not giving it enough time to do so. Woo! Boy, oh boy. It's crazy. I like 20 pounds on a cable stack that's 1-to-1. In my opinion, truthfully, feels a lot more like the resistance curve, like a 30, 32.5 pound dumbbell. Just because it's solid that whole time. But now that we're done with the isolation work for each delt, now we get to move into our compounds. 40 pounds for the first set here. We're going to go ahead and work up 15-pound jumps. So 40, 55, 70s. And we'll see what we can knock out here today. Whoa! I tell you what, those 70s, man, they be heavy, but we're getting them done, Eventually, the 70s will be real light. They'll be like our second set instead of our last set. Well, last working weight. That'll be the goal. That is the goal. Today's top sets are the future's warm-up sets. So with that, we're going to get into upright rows, get these things knocked out. 90 pounds still. If they feel real good today, we'll make the jump up to 110 for the last set, and then that'll become our working weight from now on. So, back to that, the topic of longevity, one of the things that's going to help with that is making sure you're slowly moving up in the weights, and you're not really, you can work in that 2-3 rep range. If that 2-3 rep range is 85-90% of your actual effort. Now, if you're hitting 1 rep maxes to hit two reps, you might want to back it down a little. That's not sustainable for a long term. You're just looking to have an injury. So, one of the things I've been trying to do is reel myself back from just overly ramping the weights up. It is super kind of hard because I am chasing weight goals along with, trying to cut and get leaner. They really don't go together much. That's why I'm going to have days where I'm super strong and days where I could only put up 75% of what my current maxes are. And it's just going to go from body swings, from being in a deficit, food timings, all sorts of things just kind of adding up to it. Rest, all that stuff. Rest massively, especially when you're kind of in a deficit, you're trying to get leaner. I'm not so lean at the moment that per se food intake is going to cause massive swings other than the carbohydrate thing. So if I'm low on glucose and glycogen, then it will affect my workouts because I'm not sitting in that state of ketosis. So my body just doesn't have that easy accessible energy stores. But as long as you're able to evaluate each one of your movements as you're moving up in weight, and you can recognize, hey, this is a weaker day. Hey, my output sucks right now. And you can adjust that workout for that day and prevent just adding on more weight and unnecessarily failing, unless you're trying to do a negative or something, then that's going to be a helpful way to prolong your ability to chase heavier weights and extend the longevity and health of your body during certain movements to prevent injury. But first 2 sets felt okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add on the 10s real quick. We'll go from 90 to 110. We'll get this last set knocked out. Woo! 110 is heavy. 110 is heavy. So, we'll end up going 90, 110 again next week, next back day. I'm not going to be able to do 3 sets at that. But we can definitely finish off that higher weight and just slowly work up. So, here in 2 or 3 back days, it'll be 2 sets at 110, and then we'll be at just 110 flat out. So, let me get set up now for face pulls, and we'll get that last shoulder movement knocked out, and we'll get on into abs. Alright, so another thing that people forget to train quite a bit, and I think it hurts a lot of their progress and gains, is they don't train core. A lot of people don't realize that, your abdominals, your obliques, your spinal erectors all play a part in how stable your body is and how much force you're actually able to exhibit. Especially in the case of creating abdominal pressure, so being able to squeeze yourself nice and tight is a big thing to be able to bench press, squat, deadlift, and keep proper form and not let your body roll over or cave in or fold yourself up under the weight. And overall, eventually, it's going to make your waistline look quite a bit smaller. Now, you're not going to target body fat there by training core. That's all diet and caloric deficit. But if you do get bigger abs, bigger obliques, you don't have to lose as much body fat before they start to show up, because it's a larger muscle. It's like as your pecs get bigger, your quads get bigger, your hamstrings get bigger, your arms get bigger. You can still hold a little body fat there, but still have some definition and shape. So you can train them, make them strong. It's going to help everything else get stronger, and it's going to avoid a bunch of injuries. So when you're deadlifting heavy, you're squatting heavy, you're benching heavy, you're going to be able to transmit all that power from your feet all the way up to your shoulders where it's needed, because that's where all that weight is sitting. If you're benching, all that weight's in your shoulders. Get that hip drive, that foot drive into the ground and get it to transfer. Deadlifts, you're trying to shove your feet through the ground. and all that weight's hanging in your shoulders. You gotta be able to stay tight and drive your body up. Same with the squats. That bar sitting on your back, or if you're doing front squats, goblet squats, whatever, all that weight is still sitting in your shoulders. So you gotta be able to keep your body tight while driving your legs up. And if you can't, as your hips start to come up, your body will cave in like this. And you're going to tip forward, you're going to lose your balance, you're going to be wobbly, and you could possibly hurt your back. So don't forget to train your core. Woo! All right. Well, y'all, with that's going to finish up today. So make sure you're working towards your goals, getting your stuff done. Most of all, just don't be a lazy fuck.